afternoon. Nice to see all of you again. How are you doing? Fine. Studies are in life or not emotionally charged. So on April 13th, all of your mains test stop. How many of you are planning to exam still? How are you balancing? So while daily routine, what are you doing? Like, are you of mains? 25, 30 questions. Okay. You are doing more than 100. For how long you are doing this? Last 1 month. Not after more than 100 questions. So how is it? Improvement in your scores. To solve, like, it takes 45 minutes. And then no, like in terms of impact on your scores, skills, there is improvement. This particular thing I have been prescribing, right, for so long. Whenever somebody comes as month of January, I tell people that start with 100 questions. The logic behind, I think I've already explained previously. So again, summarize what happens. Let's say that any topic, like climate change. So on climate change, let's say you solve the MCQ, and let's say there is a chapter in IAS environment book or CRT environment vision IAS about climate change. There is like big article on climate change. So when you are reading the article on climate change, these sources, what do? You make notes out of it whenever you come across new concepts or terms or facts, right? So then to revise it, try to remember most of it. So now what happens? The retention when you do this kind of preparation very less in the long term. But if you solve like 50 questions on climate change, what happens? So when I'm framing a question, let's say I take any standard like UNFCCC report on climate change, one particular chapter on concepts on climate change. So when I am framing the question, I am not interested in framing questions only solely based on the content that is there. I don't want to, that is like rote learning, right? Now I want to test your application. So I pick up a concept from there. Now I want to test how this concept, how you have internalized the concept and how you are applying this concept in the real world. So I will extrapolate it, link it with some other aspect of life or some other cultural angle, and I will frame a question. So when you are doing questions like that, there are like when you are solving around 50 questions on climate change, you will see that there are 50 different dimensions or 50 different ways of thinking on a particular topic. Got it? And these 50 questions will again have like another 100 minimum options, right? Within them, even if I give 2 options or 4 options, 100 different options will. Now, regularly doing this stuff will help you think on the topic variety of ways. Now, let's say there is a specific question on climate change in real question paper. Now we have solved like say and 50 or 60 or 70 questions on climate change. Now you actually know 50, 60 ways of eliminating 2 or 3 options that question, right? But if you only read a template like from any model content or anything, so that kind of ability to eliminate will never develop. So solving only 20, 30 you are actually limiting. And this I prescribe solely based on the assumption that by January you people have completed some amount of basics. Most of the people who come in the month of January are those people who have done basic amount of reading, right? So you have completed either coaching or done self study, completed NCERT textbook. So there is no fear of not having not completed something. That's what people say. Like when I say to do 100 questions or 150 questions, they will say, where is the time to revise the textbook or read the textbook, right? So I tell them, don't go with this approach, like end to end textbook. First solve the questions, any concept that you are underconfident, you feel incomplete. So you open that chapter and read it then and there, right? So for example, some like 8 days ago, so one girl came up with a question paper, right? He came up with a question paper and so she was solving question paper. I randomly said, how many questions you are doing? She said like right now I'm doing like around 100 questions, but I'm planning to keep it aside and go with textbook approach. So it was a question paper on polity. So there was this random question I just picked up, right? So there were questions on something related to Panchayat Raj, that compulsory and what compulsory and what voluntary functions, and there was one question on some New Year convention, right? So I think it was Vision IAS question paper, New Year convention. Directly 4 options were given. So I told her, see, now you don't know this New Year convention, you absolutely don't have any idea. Even I don't have any idea at all, right? Now let us do something. So 4 options I just randomly saw, and so one option was related to shipping, and one option was related to some kind of there was something. So, but there was one option related to arbitrage or something, right? Something related to business thing. So I imagine New York means business. Maybe this option is right. So I made a random guess. I told her I may be completely wrong, but we have to take a risk here. Apply some logic, right? It can be nonsense, it can be utterly illogical, but try to apply something. You are not giving the real exam here, right? So that was the right answer. The logic may be wrong, maybe I was lucky to make a correct guess. But when I read the solution, let us say I had got it wrong. When again read the solution, I would have learned something new about that question, right? So 8 days ago this happened, I still remember it. At least in a rough way, right? Not completely. This is what happens when you do with multiple number of questions. So you will at subconscious level at least will remember, that when you look at that is what we call intuition. So I don't know, I kind of evolved my own theory that to strengthen your intuition, right? When you're solving MCQ, what happens? The moment you see a question, you know that something tells you maybe the right answer, the very first hint, right? So that we call as intuition. That intuition gets strengthened with vast amount of experience, right? So with respect to UPSC preparation, my intuition is bit strong. So when to guess things, what to suggest people when somebody comes up with a problem, telling them what you need to do or this is what you need to avoid or something. Similarly, when you are reading about some particular topic, the more you apply your mind, the more you think about it, the more you practice, the more you expose yourself to variety of ways, that intuition gets strengthened. So you have to trust it, you have to start trusting it. So without practicing, without exposing to that kind of experience, if you start trusting your intuition, you will go wrong most of the times. So they are wild guesses. Most of the times you tend to get them wrong, right? And your logic will also improve. So this aspect you have to combine with what you are doing, right? Daily practice of, you may be good, like you might already have those skills. In mock test, you may be scoring 100, 110, even 120, 130, but there is nothing wrong in again doing it, right? The best bet in this examination, I think this also I am repeating here, against uncertainty is the best preparation is the best bet against uncertainty. right? I don't know, like here in the mock test, you may be doing really well, but I really don't have any idea what kind of question paper we are going to get. Nobody can make any guesses. Somebody can give you like 1,000 topics, 500 topics, 100 topics, telling that these are important, but nobody has any idea, right? They are also making random quiz solely based on the previous year question paper. So this year, if somebody gives you 100 topics, I'm 100% sure they will give you 20 sports topics, right? They will tell you somewhere Winter Olympics happened, somewhere, the National Badminton Championship happened, something. So they will apply that logic and will give you more questions. And if there is random question on some other, like, some dynasty or something, then they will say that you have to read all the dynasties, and they will give more topics like that, right? It's always like hindsight logic. So based on what has happened, you start applying that, right? So nobody has this foresight, like what exactly is going to come. But for that, UPSC has given you a template, syllabus, right? And it has given hint through all its exams, previous exams. So there is 40 to 50% of certainty in terms of what kind of topics one need to prepare, right? You have to strengthen those kind of topics more related to economy, environment, polity, geography, to some extent modern history. There are some areas where you can do thousands of questions, do 4 or 5 times revision of one source, any one standard source, and ensure that outrightly you get 40 to 50, right? Now coming to how to integrate it with mains, every question you solve is an opportunity to learn new example or new fact, right? So you solve a question about, let's say, contribution of some, uh, almost like obscure, unknown women in terms freedom struggle or something. So you have read like 3, 4 names in your standard book, Spectrum, Vipin Chandra, NCERT, but suddenly somebody has given a question that, taking from Wikipedia or some book by uh, Ramchandra Guha or someone. So they have given 1 or 2 names, right? Now you cannot do that on your own. Now you cannot read book by Ramchandra Guha or someone else, with respect to this, right? Just to diversify. Now you are getting to learn some new example. So that if you can make note of it, any one of the main answers, if there is a general question, let's say general question on women empowerment, not related to history also, related to society or related to economy or polity, you can randomly use that example, right? For evaluator, if they see that, is something new you are adding some value, so that may be a bonus for you, right? Like that, you have to integrate. So 100, 150 question what you solve. So there are many opportunities not only to improve skills, to enrich your mains content also. So basically, you are not compartmentalizing your preparation. Strictly, you are not, delineating and saying that only is prelim specific. Inside, you have to be conscious that whatever you are doing is going to immensely help you in mains preparation. The continuation of mains preparation. Like, I don't know, like next 85 days time is there, like 80 days time is there. In 85 days, you are actually going to read, learn so much content compared to the entire last 2 years, right? So that is the intensity you are going to bring right now. You are going to learn actually so much. Now just push it, right? After the prelims boundary, the same content, right? You actually don't have to struggle immediately after to write the mains test. It's just the, are you getting this point? Right? It's just the mindset. It is not about, it's just the thinking, okay. What happens after prelims? Again, people think that, I have to take up all material and I have to read. Again, I agree, there are main specific topics, world history, something related to society, disaster management, security issue, disaster management, again related to prelims only. Right? You read them as part of your result technologies. So science and tech and environment. Keep reading them. Right. So it's all about, the way you treat the process. You treat it as an integrated process, then you will feel like breeze, like, everything makes sense. The moment you start compartmentalizing, the stress builds up. You read only prelim specific, now you are so much obsessed with clearing it, right? So that you know looks to be very difficult. It looks like a big challenge. Now, don't think about prelims, but you're thinking about mains, but you're preparing. So prelims is just like a small step that you just cross towards your mains. Got it? So in day-to-day life also it applies. Like, when somebody poses a small hurdle or challenge, or some problem or some trouble to you, think of a bigger trouble, bigger thing. This will vanish. Small problem you are facing right now will just like vanish. You have that experience. No, you can try these things, right? So I have been trying these things. So small problem may be a big problem for someone else, right? My small problem may be a big problem for someone else, but my small problem is not at all a problem. If I think that you have bigger potential, you have bigger responsibility to deal with even bigger challenges, then just like you'll just ignore it. Similarly, the fear about prelims, the fear about cracking or not cracking. Today, one interesting thing is happening. So UPSC has given this notification that result will be out in the last week of March, right? And interviews will start from the first week of April. Like since morning, I'm getting many messages, calls, and visitors here about interview guidance. Suddenly, right? One or two, scared faces. They haven't done anything till now. Now they have realized that, worst case they have only 20 days. Is assured, right? Worst case they have only 20 days for giving their interview. Best case they may have 80 days. Last week of like two months it will go on, right? Can be in the last week or it can be in the first week. They don't know. Now it is random. Earlier there used to be certainty. For people from south who have written from south, it used to be like, for Karnataka, Bangalore Center, penultimate week, right? So like around 50th day it would start. Now it's not like that. There is some randomness. There is no formula like, yours can be in the first day, first session, or it can be last day, last session. Now, these people like who haven't done anything past 1.5 months, 1 month or 1.5 months, 1.5 months, 2 months actually, nearly 2 months, right? Was mains over January, February, March, like 2 months. So 2 months they are reading newspaper, they are reading magazines. So they haven't finalized. Earlier, hobbies and interest had to be filled before mains. Now they have created DAF 1 and DAF 2. DAF 2 has to be filled after mains result, right? So now people used to discover their interests and hobbies before mains. Now they have to do it after mains, but they are not doing after mains, but they are postponing it to after mains results, thinking that they will have some time, right? So I took a session like 1 week after prelims and mains, and I made a video like session. So there I clearly told people this is the moment you have to finalize and do it, right? So that is where the guidance comes into picture. Now let us assume that somebody feels like say two hobbies. Now they are scared to do it because they cannot prepare, right? So they have hobbies and interest, but they have to prepare on them, right? They don't know what kind of question. Let's say someone's hobby is, uh, let's say blogging about cryptocurrencies, right? Or it developments in the field of cryptocurrency. So now they have idea what is the concept of cryptocurrency and all. But again, if somebody, an academician who is working on cryptocurrency, a computer science professor from reputed universities in the panel, and he knows everything about cryptocurrency, right? Starts asking questions, difficult questions, then what? The confidence will sink, will affect the performance, right? Now that is the challenge. So the message is start early, prepare early. Like don't postpone solving these questions. Say like March or April. From April 14th onwards, I'll do 300 questions or 200 questions. Why can't you do it now? I mean, I don't know like how you feel, but that is such an enjoyable process. I really love MCQ, quiz and MCQ. So you take up questions, I was so happy that day I got that answer right. Right. Still I'm happy. Feel happy that, inside something worked. And on that girl, the face was glowing. Like my sir is so intelligent. Right. I told I'm not intelligent. It's a random guess on some logic. That logic may be wrong, but it gives you happiness when you do something with out of interest. So I'd have been equally happy if I had got it wrong also. So like 3 years ago, little embarrassment would have been there. Now that is not there. So I admit if I don't know something because I've cultivated learning mindset. Right. Every interaction, every action, whatever it is. So there is an opportunity to learn something. Right. So when you just focus on learning something, then it doesn't matter whether somebody holds you. Now I'm learning on the Twitter also. Now there are like people, negative comments and all. Like I actually feel happy. Making me so strong. Like those comments do not affect at all anything. Somebody said yesterday, it is good that you didn't uh, clear civil service examination, and I was like laughing. So that hundreds of people are telling me already, right? That it's good that you didn't clear civil service examination, so that you are creating, officers or your kingmaker people, just to boast or boost or whatever it is. So they do it. I don't get carried away by all those things. I felt like maybe he's meaning that the positive side of it, right? So what he meant was, with your kind of thinking, it is good that you didn't become an officer, right? Somebody who is somebody who talks only about peace, 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 right? And peaceful method, non-violence, something like that. So somebody who thinks of forgiving somebody. So there are people, but their worldview is limited, restricted. So it is for some people it doesn't. They don't connect with the idea. Very long term, right? What do you think? Leave it. So the idea, I mean, it really makes you light-hearted. Like when you forgive, forget, and it happened. We know that it has left really an indelible, very dark episode. But there is something called reconciliation, something called forgiving, mutually sitting each other, talking it out. You apologize for your mistake. We will apologize. We have committed mistake. So you try to, uh, you know, reconcile, the truth, and then try to be just and try to give something from your side. So things will be calm, normal, and then everybody can, celebrate festival together and carry on life. Anything that acts as a burden, you have to remove. Like when they got breakup. So any breakup and married already. So any breakup, like people carry it for months, and they won't do anything, right? Keep on thinking about the girl. What if she another boy? What if she started loving another person? Right? Everything hurts and pricks. I know these people won't do anything for months together. Now, I have seen the cases, so many cases, right? So just like the very you can switch on the mind, like on or off. So I think with more experience with facing certain kind of troubles again and again, people can cultivate that. But you can consciously do also to understand the life in a better way. So then, as I was telling earlier, if you focus on mains, the prelims will become easy. Similarly, if you focus on the larger picture on life, the entire exam becomes easy for you, right? So do everything with interest. Like while writing answers also, it's such a beautiful experience. Sometimes you don't know the answer, exact answer, right? To create something from nothing, zero, right? Such a wonderful experience. You apply some logic, you look at the question, right? Actually, it may be incorrect, right? But try to be honest there, like based on common sense, based on conceptual understanding, whatever, you can still be try to build something. And then you give it for evaluation, the guy gives 4 or 5 marks, right? So then you feel happy about it. Got it. You inside you know that something nonsense, but like you have made someone to believe. But again, without being dishonest. So I recommend, I think last time also I told you people, should never be dishonest in your answer writing, right? You know you write. If you don't know, you write to the extent of what you can, sensibly think in that moment, right? Dishonesty is severely punished in mains. You don't know what is, that S-400 missile, you are making something out of it. 400 means like 400 kilometer or 400 ton, or whatever it is. S means what is snake. Something like some people make, right? And they have done something, they have read something about BrahMos or Agni and missile or something, they apply the same logic in this S-400 also. So the dishonesty will not only affect that answer, as far as my understanding goes, it affects rest of the answers also. So not entire paper, because I think 2 to 3 people will be evaluating. The one person who is evaluating his section, let's say science and tech or environment, they will punish all of your answers, right? So this I'm very, very clear about it. The same thing in interview, dishonesty outrightly 120, 130, 140, right? Safe play, like you don't want to take risk, you have put only cricket, football, then in the interview also playing defensive thing, right? Sure shot 160 to 160. By luck, they want you to be in the Indian Postal Service or Indian Information Service or out of the list, right? They're not seeing any other officer or like civil servant. So that all boils down to your day-to-day conduct, day-to-day the way you treat process itself. So then you don't have to struggle after your mains about even without absolutely blank DAF, you can work out it 200 plus, right? The way you talk, the way you conduct yourself, your thoughts, right? You can walk out with that also. You don't have to have like those things. Ultimately, it boils down to your personality, the core of your personality, right? So that is why separating this process, separating, what you are learning doesn't make any sense. Everything is integrated. The way you interact with other people, like while you are having coffee, right? The way you treat yourself, the way you are just to yourself, kind to yourself, everything matters here. Self-esteem, self-respect, everything is important. Everything has to be at good level. So that makes preparation a breeze. Unfortunately, even if you don't clear, I think go on to do even more bigger things. Focus on these aspects. That's what else to tell. Sessions are meant to interact with you and it little recharge you, right? And I hope all of you take these things seriously, right? So these are not theoretical stuff I'm talking about, right? Not some extracts from some Igai book or philosophy. Something that I'm trying to practice, and in our institution faculties, like I try to share these. Some of them are practicing. I see that there is absolutely no tension, no conflict in our institution. Anyone, nobody. What do you call that? Back bitching or something. Nobody does to anyone. So everyone is, the team is so good here. There is absolute good coordination. So there is so much of trust here. Basically, how you conduct, trickles down to other people, and they start doing that. Similarly, you can be in your own circle, right? And do the similar thing. Then things will be happy, relaxed, calm for everyone. Got it? Directly I'm boasting. So Amit knows here. Like, whatever I said is right. No, don't tell about me. Like it's general about what I'm talking about. It makes sense, right? So that's what. Keep dreaming big. Forget that you have 80, 85 days, right? You have like 80 years ahead of you. Think 80 years. So you remember fact, and also you really eliminate well. Some sort of logic will help you, rescue you. And I used to do like this. I never had the patience to read any textbook from. Do something that is application oriented. Take up questions. At that time, we used to have brilliant tutorials. When I didn't buy textbook. I bought only brilliant tutorial question banks from Chennai. Now it is not there. Only for IIT it is there. For IAS it used to be there, and then GK today, right? So we used to post questions. That was the level of question we suggest you to do questions again and again. And so when I cleared 3 prelims only because of solving questions, so really well in prelims. The main reason is common sense, saying some logic. Even today that works. I tell people, like, you give any random question paper, I'll assure you that minimum 80, 90 I will score. Even without any preparation, even without reading any current affairs, right? I may not clear prelims, but with good preparation, it can be plus another 20, 30 marks, right? But purely based on common sense, your understanding of basic concepts can do that. So you are at that level actually, everyone. With a relaxed mind, when you solve a question paper, 80 to 90, I don't think it's difficult at all for you. Any question paper. You have to be immersed, you have to be involved, you have to be, like, engage at deep level with every question. Deep level means not overthinking, but in terms of interest. I think you try that, no? You try that. So I have seen people, like those who are giving interview, they are not in a mood to solve MCQs right now. They won't solve any question paper. Now the result will be out in the last week of May, or somewhere around 2-3 days before prelims. Now most of them have applied for this attempt also, right? Now they haven't done any main prelim specific practice from January to till 3 days before. Everyone who gives interview thinks they are going to clear. So they'll be waiting for the result. So I have tested with many students when they come, like, should I give this attempt or not? So when there used to be, like, 10-15 days gap between prelims, mains, the final result, I used to tell them, you forget everything, completely relaxed mind, you take 2 question papers, right? Any random question paper, go and solve it without any expectation. So they would score 90, 100, 110 or something, solely based on whatever knowledge they had gained as part of prelim preparation, through preparation, applying some logic. So that is already there within them. The prelims is basically fundamentals, right? So why they have already made up mind not to give prelims or something in worst case, and they have already faced this worst situation, not getting the rank or failing in. So they have made up their mind. There is nothing else to lose. So you tend to really perform well. Carry the same mindset to real examination, and most of them have cleared. But if somebody goes with that baggage of failure and fear and everything, they fail. Even despite having every bit of knowledge about those questions, they will fail. And another thing I have tested is that, like, for you people, like, you're preparing for UPSC, you randomly appear for other exams. You apply and forget, you go and write, you actually clear those exams. Have you noticed it? So friend circle or someone, other preliminary exams or some other exam, you clear it because you have nothing to lose. You are just going and giving just for the sake of some satisfaction, self-satisfaction, or like because somebody has told you, you apply for other exam. So you tend to clear. It's mainly because there is no fear attached to it. These fundamentals, keep working on them. Whether it is CSAT you have to practice. There only calmness and relaxment won't help. The speed is very important. You have to, even if you are really good with problems, so the real exam, they can play with you, right? Some difficult questions or lengthy paper, you know the answer, but it unsettles you. Spend more time on one question, suddenly the entire paper suffers. So better to do practice and ensure that you have this minimum threshold of marks you are scoring any kind of paper. Let's say 90, and then go with that confidence. Good, it's a beautiful journey. Hope we'll see you. Any question you can give. Yeah. So what I meant by being analytical, introduction, conclusion. So there are like 3 parts within the answer where this will be bit evident for analytical thinking. So let's say there is question on random question. You give random. If I don't know, I'll tell I don't know. You give me another question. Fine. So there is this cryptocurrency question about should India legalize or uh, make it formal use of cryptocurrency in Indian economy, right? Now let's say what is analytical introduction or non-analytical. So non-analytical is something focuses only on the factual component. So you know what is cryptocurrency, you directly start. Cryptocurrency is that currency or what currency it is? Digital currency or something you say, something you write online, right? So and then you may give an example also like Bitcoin, Dogecoin. Analytical, now the analytical introduction takes care of the entire demand of the question, right? Now the question has many components. It be regularized, formalized, made legalized in the Indian economy in the context. There may be another question like what kind of steps the government should ensure that it is not misused or something, right? So there are more than one component. So you have to address all the components of the question in your introduction without exceeding 30-40 words, right? So there must be a thought embedded in the introduction, right? So now you may say that like regularizing or legalizing cryptocurrency is a progressive idea, but Indian economy has many structural flaws in terms of their regulatory oversight mechanism or something. So it is not a drive, the moment is not a drive for its introduction, but eventually government must regularize something like this. There is a thought here. Got it? You can think of even better thing, but there is a thought here. So when you apply your thinking based on the context, based on random facts and examples, and you concretize it into one thought and idea and you put it, then it becomes analytical introduction. Then you define what is cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, what it is, what are the varieties of cryptocurrency, and then you say why Indian economy is not yet ready. That is the hint you are given, right? So and then you can say next part how we can make it incremental, like bring it. What do you say that? Um, no, like step by step. What do you call like? Don't bring it suddenly. Progressively, how we can? What is it? Incremental, progressively, how we can implement or make it a reality. And then with what mechanism to ensure that uh, there is no threat to security, there is no threat to economy, there is no threat to individual privacy or something, right? So what can be done? Then in the conclusion, something about futuristic. You can say despite putting everything, they can still be, because at the same rate the cyber security threats are also evolving, the sophistication, right? So you can say that this should be done with equal amount of investment or innovation in the technology front or something. The conclusion, right? Again, you are bringing some kind of broader idea, not directly related to the question, but it has both the elements. Part of it is related to the question, part of it is giving a new insight or something, right? In the conclusion. So it is not factual, still it is analytical. So I see some amount of thinking, maybe extrapolating it to some other thing or futuristic vision or something, or some constructive criticism or constructive suggestion or something. So that can be embedded. So wherever your thinking part is evident, so that is analytic. So these are two parts. So one more part is between two parts of the question. So one part is Indian economy is not yet ready, how to make it. So in between you need to write 2-3 lines saying that why you want to discuss the next part of the question, right? So in the context of above, you know, loopholes or weaknesses or flaws or something, then you say that so we need to look at step by step or incremental whatever approach based on the following recommendations or something. It's just a simple statement. But what people write, they'll just write a random. suggestions, way forward, right? Solution. And you write randomly. Now there is no link between second part and first part. I have to again read the question, make sense that So it doesn't read like one continuous coherent answer. And many people have tendency to just dump facts and example without writing the full sentence, right? You don't have to write for every point, but at least majority you can ensure that the flow is maintained. So, so that is where this analytical thing, people like your answers. It looks very interesting to read your answer if you write like that. And boxing, underlining any important example, keyword, you can do that. Still, you can do that. But don't lose the overall essence. I call it as the soul of the answer. So you take out the soul, you put only skeleton, and it doesn't look good. People have the habit of putting only skeleton, writing single words. The soul of the answer, I think, very important. Evaluator, like when you are evaluating, just looking at random facts and evaluating, not an engaging process, right? The way you are communicating with them, your thoughts, ideas, why you are writing something, all the papers is more important in ethics and essay, but in at least like 50% of the answers in GS 123, it is very much important. Because all questions are not direct factual questions, right? They're not asking what is this, right? What you feel very less of what, more of statements, discuss, examine, comment. Fine. All the best.